Growing up, I was always a huge fan of Final Fantasy, especially 7. From Crisis Core on PSP to even Advent Children.
I literally
Yes,
bought a
the movie.
PSP just to
10
play
out of
Crisis
10.
Core.
I always knew that the Final Fantasy genre had a strong reputation in gameplay and story. However, when it came to the MMO, Final Fantasy XIV, it was uncomparable to WoW. The god MMO at that time. But expansions to expansion,
Long day, that's fair.
WoW kept disappointing everyone. The cycle continued.
Pretty
as
sure
well
after
as
Cataclysms
Blizzard never
when the
listening
disappointment
to their
happened, at
loyal
least for me.
players. This is how the famous MMO lost its reputation. I'll show you 3 simple steps of what the main problem
You did it for
is.
Dissidia
A
though?
new expansion is now publicly announced, and the beta is released. Players spend countless of hours on beta, testing the game out and point out all the problems.
Yeah, Kata was the start of
that
my
exist.
breaks too.
The game is now released, and the problems are still there. For months and months, players keep pointing out to Blizzard that this must be changed, but it is simply
I did the same thing
ignored.
for
Majority of
Kingdom
the players
Hearts.
quit now. Then Blizzard starts making changes at the end of expansion to save their player base. Hey, we're making good changes. You guys can come back now.
Alright. Everything that I've seen though is like stuff that people constantly ask for, and it's like, why are you not listening to people? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, that like people were like giving warning signs their whole entire like alpha and beta tests, and people were basically screaming at Ian and like the dev team to like, we're not happy with this. Like, and it just, I don't understand like why they were so stubborn when like it seems like there were so many people unhappy. Benios, thank you for that tier 1 for 2 months. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. This cycle's been there since it's clear. It's bait and switch. Ian has to get the axe. I don't know. I don't know about that. It's probably something
Yes,
more
it
than just
actually
that.
works
It's just
for
stubbornness.
The majority of the loyal fans that played this game for years.
There's the 915 is gonna be great, and you'll come back crawling, you betrayer. That's right. You just wait, you'll see.
Some do manage to leave from this toxic relationship, but many are still trapped. The endless cycle is continued. However, not for me. Today, I would like to share a story with you of how I became
Because
the warrior.
hasn't I think Savix has beaten like
August 8th,
ultimates now.
2021. Many
Since
of the WoW
August? That's pretty
veterans
good.
were already migrating to other worlds.
I mean, Rich has too, so.
Even for me at the time, I was playing Lost Ark off stream on a Russian server, with a bit of classic TBC to continue my copium journey.
Hold on. Before we go any further, is Lost Ark actually any good? Because a bunch of people have been like playing it today. Like, I've seen a bunch of people streaming it. I'm pretty like I'm so like apprehensive to play Lost Ark, specifically because that it's isometric. Does the US have access to it? There was like a closed beta starting today, and I saw a bunch of people streaming it. It's Diablo as an MMO. Many seem to like it. I see. I guess it kind of makes sense, that setting, to kind of fit an MMO, like with like isometric for some people. It's really hard for me to break out of a third-person view when it comes to an MMO.
I was in a battleground farming honor points, along with the daily messages. Savix, would you ever consider trying Final Fantasy XIV?
Fuck no, it's weeb
And I
shit.
would
Is
simply
what he's gonna
reply
say.
with, the game looks bland, and it's unappealing to me. For some reason, I was pretty close-minded in trying Final Fantasy XIV. Then,
To be
on
fair,
that same day,
if you only
I
saw
was
error
reacting to
stuff,
videos
that would make
because
sense.
of how boring this honor farm was. And the video that was requested was called 15-Year WoW Nerds First Impression of Final Fantasy XIV PvP. My viewers knew I was a PvP fiend, so they threw in a little bait, and it worked. I told everyone that day that I would try Final Fantasy XIV. And with a little bit of push from my friends, I was in.
Okay, hey,
I needed to see what this game was all about.
This is all you need to see. That's the perfect MMO. Who wouldn't want to play this MMO? Come on. Who cares if some of them are male cat girls? Everyone can be a cat girl. Don't you want a bunch of cat girls staring down at you, looking down on you, wanting to step on you?
Was in. I needed to see what this game was all about.
Miyakote
Savix
Fiera.
Adventure of Final Fantasy XIV Episode 1 has started. For a couple of days, I played the game off.
Hey, Outer. We have all types of flavors of waifus here. We have Rogan females here. I don't know if Trash is here tonight, but we have a particular flavor of Rogan female called Thickeny Snoo Snoo. I'd like to invite you to meet her one day. If you stick around stream, you'll one day meet Thickeny Snoo Snoo. She's fantastic. She will make you her bitch, okay? And I'm sure that's what everyone wants. You want to be stepped on? There you go.
Stream, so I wouldn't
And
have
her
any
thighs.
distractions. I wanted to fully experience and immerse myself into this game. Then give it a rating, since I've heard so many mixed comments about it. It was a new beginning in this world called Eorzea. The game was not bad at all. It was nothing like I imagined. When I said the game looked unappealing and bland, what was I thinking? This game is a piece of art.
Nier Automata is a piece of art, okay? Well, I mean, it's fan service. This is Nier right here.
Piece of art. It was a fresh breath of air, and it reminded me of how fun it is.
Nier Automata is
to try and
canon in
explore
Final
a
Fantasy
new
XIV.
game. I did also run into a few problems, such as being way too used to WoW's interface. For some reason, I found it very difficult to navigate in this UI, especially the
Degenerate
map.
art.
I cannot get around Oda. It was a nightmare. Another thing I noticed right
To be fair, I think the maps are honestly shit. And didn't they show off a new way of on the map of getting around? I thought they were like, didn't they spend like on a live letter like a whole entire new way of getting around on the Aethernet? I'm pretty sure, right? And they fixed a bunch of stuff. Like it should be a lot easier to get around with the map now.
right away was a lot of reading. This game had a lot of reading.
Yeah, that's a
And I suck at reading. Honestly
major
speaking,
thing.
playing this game really helped me improve my reading skills.
Why didn't it help me? Why hasn't this helped me? Maybe it's because I need to read it to chat. When we get to Endwalker, when I read it to chat, it'll be better, okay? Maybe I'm just a fucking lost cause. God damn it.
Slowly but surely, I understood what kind of MMO this was, and I for sure fell in love with it. The little
There's no
details it
helping
had
me,
amused
fuck.
especially
'Cause
the
you're
fact
blonde?
that it showed rings when you
Savix, look at his hand. Do you really want to show off your hand like that, gripping like this? This is the one part about male Miqo'te that I feel like this is the reason why people should switch to male Bunny. Okay? Fix your hands. Square Enix needs to fix male Miqo'te's hands. They need to not be constantly gripped. It's so weird.
equipped it. I know it's something
They're always
stupid,
about to square
but
up.
in
Yeah.
what game do rings show, as well as neck pieces? I thought it was so cool.
I think
I
that is very
progressed and
cool that
learned
we can
more
see
about
rings and
this game
stuff.
every day. I even ended
We
up
used to be able to
watching
see
an
belts in
hour,
1.0,
30-minute
but we don't need to talk about that too
documentary of
much.
How this MMO was recreated due to its failure back in 2010. This allowed them to create one of the most epic trailers, A Realm Reborn, A New Beginning. Even watching it now, it's so epic. I've seen this so many times now.
I'm sorry, but that shot right there is probably one of the greatest trailer shots you can ever see. Like, that, just look at that right there. It's so fucking cool. You have this giant fucking death ball falling out of the sky, and you have like your party looking upon on it, and there's a giant fucking dragon about to blow it up, crawling out of it. It's so fucking cool. Y'all watching the WoW Catechism trailer?
You should definitely go.
I'm sorry, but like, Deathwing is not as fucking cool as Bahamut. Like, Deathwing is like Chinese knockoff Bahamut. You ever see like the there's like that Chinese knockoff Saber account, like where she's like melted basically in her face, and it's like on Twitter, and it like has a bunch of bootleg figures. Like, that's Deathwing compared to Bahamut to me.
Go watch it. Worth it. And I am so sorry, but I have to pause the video here. From this documentary, I learned how much these developers actually cared about the game and their fanbase. I loved how open they were to the audience, and big respect to Yoshi P for not tying down their players to play their game. In fact, in the newer interviews, he was encouraging players to explore and try out new games.
He's always done that,
in
though.
My other game that I used to play,
He's literally always done that.
I felt like we were being abused.
Because he's like literally always said, like, go play other games. And like, I think this is such a hard thing for me to like wrap my head around sometimes, because, and I think I finally accepted it, especially like now that I'm like streaming and stuff. It's so hard to wrap my head around wanting to play other games, because when I played Final Fantasy XI, it asked so much of me. And when then I moved, from Final Fantasy XI to WoW for a bit, it asked so much of me. And then when I played 1.0, it asked so much of me, because you had to put in so much time when you were playing those games to like get everything done. And especially like when you're playing 1.0, like, things were not working well. And in order to progress quickly, you had to put in a ton of time and like make sure everything you wanted to get done before like 2.0 came out and stuff like that. But when 2.0 got out here, it was like a completely different mentality. Like, you'd get done with shit. We'd like clear like within like 2 to 3 weeks on like most of the like raid tiers, and then like eventually in like Heaven's Ward, at the end of Heaven's Ward, and then like into Stormblood, I was like week oneing everything. And the same thing goes for Lavinia Shadowbringers. It was like I'd constantly run out of things to do. But like, it never got into my head that I should go play something else until I started streaming, and I kind of get it now, because it does kind of make me appreciate sometimes going back and like playing 14 sometimes. But I mean, I also don't have as much stuff to do because I pushed so hard early on in doing 14 stuff.
And there was no time for other games. Not until this moment. My journey continued throughout the great
P5R was definitely worth it.
And along the way, I've met and made so many new friends. And I would like to thank them all from the bottom of my heart for giving me one of the best experiences. We visited houses together, took a lot of pictures.
Ooh, that house
went to
looks
the Golden
cool.
Saucer, raced our chocobos, and my grass-fed organic Omega Boy made me proud. I'll never forget that 12-hour Bahamut run. Oh man, that was a
12 hours of blind
and
pug
big
Bahamut,
shout
that's
outs
cool.
to Mada K for teaching me and Miso the legendary fights.
I feel like progging Bahamut, the original Bahamut, right? Not like UCOB, right? That was one of the most memorable things for me, being a 1.0 to 2.0 player. And I still think if you saw just even the trailer and just the way they like make the fight so cinematic, like they put so much effort into that, even for like that was like a 2.0 fight. That wasn't like a Heaven's Ward or Stormblood or Shadowbringers. Like, I feel like they put a lot of effort in T13, and it was so cinematic, and like it's so worth like actually trying to take it in normally, because if you rush through that fight, you just don't experience it the same way. Clearing FCOB was great, yeah. It was like one of my like highlights of like raiding and stuff like that. Nail is also a major highlight to me, just because of the fact that when in 1.0 like you did like Riven Road hard and stuff like that, and like all the like all like the environment when you start T9 is what Riven Road kind of looked like, and then it transitions into like having the Heavens Fall come down and like the arena changing everything. It's just, it looks really cool. It wasn't the same though.
I even downloaded Heaven's Fall Simulator to master one of the fights. It actually helped
this
me
shit
get so
blows
good
my
at
mind that this
landing
exists now.
I guess
that,
you could say.
the simulators.
Okay, before we move on,
I
wanna
shit
show
on
you guys
Toski
this
so
mod.
much for
He's
using
so
simulators
cool.
too.
These white people happy. I cannot get over how cool he looked. I also had the honors to attend to these beautiful
Coil
weddings.
Twitch bot, thank you for the 100
Congratulations
bits.
to all of you guys, and thank you for having me. And not to forget the jumping puzzles. They are omega fun to do and super addictive.
I hope they add a big tower
Another
again
cast
at
of
some
success.
point.
And last but not least, 1v1 duels. From what I witnessed, Alice was farming everyone as a samurai. Even me. But I
Samurai's
got one
stupid
clean
OP.
win as a ninja against her. Easy peasy. There was so much more to this
Or
game
at least
than
it
any other.
was.
It felt like a complete MMO. I couldn't think of anything that this game did not have. Maybe you guys could answer that in the
I know
chat.
Durg's really good in front lines though. Moon Tower, maybe.
This game was not about doing laps around Dalaran or Orubos waiting for queues.
No, it's about sitting in Libs of Limensa, listening to videos and having everyone hum 24/7. It's not that you can't do laps and sit and around town. It's just there's no way to get on mounts and do laps, and you know you could hang out with other people around town too.
It had so much more, and the social aspect to this game was amazing. Time to time, we would sit down in our FC and share stories, or even talk about life. It's going to sound
I think
funny,
that's the coolest
but
part is the
I felt
housing and
so
like
connected
FC
to my
interaction
online
and stuff like
friends,
that. It's just
especially during
sucks
the
that not everyone
pandemic.
can do it.
And finally, I would like to thank the whole Final Fantasy XIV community for being one of the best communities out there. So far, I have not ran across a single toxic behavior. Literally zero. Where in other games, I would receive hateful messages time to time. Hats off to you guys.
I still think like while there is toxicity and it does exist, and I've always admit that, like I've encountered it, but I've also been playing for so long. But I think generally the game has been a lot better lately for me and what I've experienced with other people. I know I've heard stuff about like GMs and stuff not being so on top of things lately from friends, like with toxic or like harassment and stuff like that. But generally, I've always felt that 14 does a fairly good job at like having a fairly untoxic community overall. I think the crazy stuff that tends to happen is in toxicity is like there's this like rift where like people will say there's toxic casuals or like toxic elitists, all that kind of stuff, and there's like each end of it. It's just, I think if you sometimes meet in the middle, you don't see it so much. It's just when you get to these extremes and you're like on one end or the other, I think you notice it so much more because you almost incite it yourself in some ways. And I feel like ever since I've not pushed myself to be like super hardcore, I don't notice it nearly as much either. I think it's like worrying too much about other people. That's like where I like stopped using a parser. And I've said this, I don't want to have to think about the other people in my party in that way. I want to pay attention to my own shit. And if I clear or I fail, it's on myself at that point. Like there is definitely times where like there's people who wipe us and like do really weird shit. But for the most part, it's like people learning and stuff like that, or me being a dumbass. It's my own fault 90% of the time when I wipe, or like at least lately, I feel like. Outside of mentor roulette. But I don't know. I'd much rather pay attention to myself than worrying about other people anymore. And I think that has made me feel like things are a lot less toxic. Yeah, mistakes happen.
And I guess the right way to close off the video is giving it my opinion, since that is the reason I started playing this game. I actually have a lot of things I would like to say, but I will keep it short. Starting from the story, I think the story is amazing. I did my best in this video to not put in any spoilers at all.
You did a good job at
I
that.
wanted to show a lot of epic scenes, but that is for you to try out when you play this game, or if you decide to play this game. It is a very long journey, and it is worth it. Especially Shadowbringers. And
It's so crazy seeing people flying in this area now, because I never used to fly, right, in this area. And ever since we started flying as of like Shadowbringers through like 2.0 areas, it at least at first it was like, it felt really bad. And it still is like, because you hit the height ceiling really easily, it sometimes feels bad and you could see some like weird shit in the distance. But overall, it's like, it feels a lot better now being able to fly because you can get around so quickly. I'm still finding so many cool spots tucked away in AR. Wait, really? That's cool. I haven't gone hardcore exploring in like AR areas, but just seeing it like from a different perspective, because like you have like this perspective for the longest time of like seeing it from the ground, right? For like the last 6-8 years now, right? And now getting it from above ground, it like completely changes things.
there's like a saying for it. If you could go through ARR, you'll love this game. ARR could be the slope that a lot of people have a hard time going through. One of the reasons being is because it's the oldest expansion, and that's the one you start out with. So if you could go through that, the rest is just quality 10 out of 10.
It's so hard, and I think one of the good things that is happening is like with so many people doing it and coming over, and like especially seeing videos like this, I hope that gives other people like the ability to like push through it more, because for the longest time, like you always heard as a player, like, and we even like repeated it so many times, it's like, oh, ARR is gonna make it or break it for you. Oh yeah, like, hey, if you can make it through AR and blah 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 blah, right? Or like buy a skip potion. Sometimes like people have that reaction, and like it's really good that like videos like this exist, I think, to give people perspective on other things and like have people talk about it. So I hope this like kind of stuff, like with any videos like this, will like help people push through ARR content.
For dungeons and raiding, I think, for dungeons at least, it starts kicking off in Stormblood. From Stormblood, I thought the dungeons were super fun and interactive. For raids, they're all good. Every single expansion, every raid is memorable. The music is 10 out of 10. It sets the tone. When you first fight the primals, oh man, it is so epic. Not over exaggerating.
The music makes this game, like, it's not even a question. Like, and like the cinematic nature of the game. Like, even just hearing like the it's stupid because like hearing the music in the background right now like almost invokes so much emotions, like when you hear it. It's so tough to like sometimes listen to particular music segments and not like get like a rush of feelings.
I thought fighting the primals with that music was one of the best things. And also, this game did a fantastic job of scaling you down into any raid content you would like to do that is from the older expansions. In WoW, I remember streamers had to do an event like Project 60 or Project 30, whatever you want to call it. We would basically stop leveling at a certain point to downgrade ourselves. But in this game, if you want to do old content with the item level that existed at that time, you could set that up and go through the raid. It's not going to be exactly the same since abilities changed, but you get the idea of how it was back in the day. And lastly, the PvP. I will be completely honest, PvP is probably the least favorite thing I've had in Final Fantasy. I do not think it is terrible. Maybe I'm just used to WoW. As a DPS, I felt like having 1 CC on a long cooldown, it felt bad. I want to keep this short because I could talk forever about this.
I played PvP when it originally came out, really hardcore, and I really liked it. And it was when we had like a ton of abilities, and I really think them removing all those abilities hurt it more than helped it. I just wish they had kept the rotations and everything that was there and just tweaked some potencies, because I really felt like having multiple CCs on some of the jobs like really made like PvP way more fun. And I know some people might say, oh, well, that's way too imbalanced and stuff like that. But that was when I had the most fun PvPing. It was just, for me, it was the most fun PvPing. I don't have a perspective on balance like long term, but like, I don't know. It was just, I really, really enjoyed like Heaven's Ward PvP for me personally.
And tanks and healers, they are extremely hard to kill in this game. I guess it's the same as WoW, but you have less CC, and you have to rely heavily on your teammates if you play the 4v4 mode. It almost works the same as WoW, you still have to set up kills, but it lacks
This is my
the
experience trying to
potential
kill a
of
white
being able
mage.
to carry by yourself, in my opinion. I think that's the best way I could say it. So personally for me, it is not my favorite thing to do, as well as my goal was to get to level 80, then start PvPing. Because technically, yes, you could start PvPing at level 30, however, you will have a lot of abilities that you have no clue on how to use. So that being said, I will try more PvP now that I'm 80, after my Necromancer title. PvP was the reason why I started
I
playing
still
this
want to
game,
go after
but I fell in love with
those
the other
solo
ones.
titles. I have a,
I will.
I
do
have
more
a
PvP
save.
though, I promise.
It's ready. Just need to do
I will
it.
close it off with, there will be more news about PvP in Endwalker live letter, which is very, very soon. So keep in touch with that if you're a PvP fiend. But for me, I think I'm retiring and becoming a full-time RP player. I know people are gonna laugh at me. Savix rank 1 Red Paladin, downgraded to Roleplaying Andy. Listen, roleplay in this game is is amazing, okay?
Okay, I'm gonna say this. The only thing that has ever made me tempted to use mods lately is that bot speech bubble shit. That speech bubble shit looks so fucking cool when I've seen people that use it. Like, it makes the game look so much more better, and I'd rather see those speech bubbles over people's head. Can't you do that in game? I don't think so. Is it? It can get a little spazzy. I see. It looks really cool, like seeing it like come out of someone's head. And it's like, sometimes like when I just don't see say chat. I don't see people's chat, and I want to see it, and because I just don't look down in that corner. But if I saw it popping up over people's head, like, it'd be like a million times better. The problem is, for me, is like, it could then have a situation where people are coming on stream and saying stuff where you could then see it, right? That's the only problem I could see with it, is you could potentially have like really massive assholes like saying shit on stream then at that point. So it sucks. But if I was like even regular as a player and I wasn't streaming, I'd be really tempted to use this. I think it's really cool. Hiding chat with streaming would be very difficult. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why you guys are in replacement of where my chat is. Like, what you guys are on like OBS, that's where chat is.
All the jokes aside, if you're a fan of MMOs, I think you should give Final Fantasy XIV a try. Coming from a long-time MMO player, I highly recommend it. And that is it. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe for future content. Also, I have a second channel, so if you ever want to watch my older Final Fantasy journey, you could go there.
Streaming MMO, locking out a general chat. Yeah. That's why you played Toontown instead. Oh my god. All right, I'm liking this video, and I should have subscribed to him earlier. Why is your glam like that? Wait, what? Hold on. Wait, what?
Hey, start clapping. Everyone start
What? Our armor slow speed down. Look, this is how Haurchefant dies. His armor sucks and it pierced through it, but like maybe Haurchefant should have just been ripped enough at like Savix's so that he wouldn't have died. He was wearing armor, but Haurchefant clearly wasn't ripped. Oh shit, spoilers. Oh my god. True. My bad. My bad. I just ruined everything.
Everyone start clapping.
If he was more
Yes,
jacked
start
and
clapping.
tan, he'd have come to the first one. Oh my god.
I'll play the scene again.
If Haurchefant was just built
When I'm
different.
level 80 and I've cleared Ultra. This will be the ending right here. Showing the memories back.
That was a good video. Holy shit, spoilers. What do you mean? You're like fucking 10 minutes late. Yeah, that was a really, really good video. I'm happy I waited to watch it all the way through.